Welcome to Woodshop 101, a woodworking audio podcast geared toward the hobby weekend woodworker. Your hosts for the show are Jeremy Crawford and Drew Shore. Join these two different craftsmen for a lighthearted banter about everything in woodworking, online education, and how they produce content. Topics could include the latest news, tips, tricks, and designs, to include furniture, crafts, and shop projects.
All right, welcome to episode 17. Today we're going to talk about WIA 2015, and we're joined tonight by our guest host, Sterling Davis of Sterling's WoodCrafts. How are you, Sterling?
Doing well. How are y'all?
We're doing good. I mean, I could be better. I'm sick, so you probably won't be hearing much from me tonight. But it's okay because I didn't go to WIA. I'll leave that to you two. So,
you know, it's funny. As many hands as I shook, it's a wonder I didn't get sick.
Right? Yeah.
Well, you know, it probably wasn't smart that I've been trying to get this mantle done, and so despite being sick and coughing up a storm, I've been in the shop and getting this mantle knocked out. So,
well, the dust probably didn't help with the lungs.
No, it didn't. But at least I was making some progress. So, all right, Sterling. Well, you want to introduce yourself for the people that don't know who you are?
Sure. Thank you. I appreciate you having me. I'm Sterling Davis. You can find me on YouTube at Sterling Davis. I have a little blog I have that's sterlingswoodcrafts.blogspot.com, and it has all of my other social medias there. But basically, I am a woodworker hobbyist that just enjoys the trade of crafting, you know, something out of wood. It's just it's kind of my therapeutic moment where I can go back and just relax and have a good time. You know, it's my little space.
Well, I think we all feel like that.
I need to get into my little space.
All right, well, I want to remind you guys, if you listen to the show over on iTunes, please give us a 5-star rating. That helps us kind of reach a greater audience, so we've been told. We are sitting around probably like 4.5 stars. So go ahead and go over there and hit 5 stars, get us back up. You know, it helps us reach people that maybe wouldn't necessarily know to search for our podcast. So, all right.
Yeah, well, we're still fairly new, so it's sometimes hard to find.
Yeah, and it doesn't help that, you know, through the summer we've not really stuck to a schedule. In fact, you haven't heard from us in, what, about three weeks now, I think?
Yeah, 3 weeks.
And that's partly, I mean, it was a Thursday leading into WIA, or the week before, and I was getting ready to go out of town, and Drew was getting ready to go out of town, and you know, we just felt like that trying to push a show either out that Thursday, we probably wouldn't have given you a quality product, and I couldn't have done it any time after that because I was gone pretty much all that week.
Yep.
So we decided to hold off and hit you guys up right after WIA so we could kind of give you some feedback. When I say we, I'm definitely not giving you feedback because I don't know. But let's get down to it. What's going on in you guys' shops?
Well, since I've been back from WIA, there's not a lot that has happened. I've been planning for my next build that will kind of basically pay tribute to the WIA and the meeting of all the YouTube woodworkers. I actually took some time and got everybody's signature on a piece of white film liner. It's actually pretty thick plastic, and had them sign in dark Sharpie markers so I can import all of their signatures into my computer through my CNC program and carve all of their signatures on a piece of acrylic. And then I was going to make a frame around that piece of acrylic and a carved out plaque with Video Woodworkers at the top and then Woodworking in America 2015 at the bottom, and just hang that in my shop. So I'm playing around with how I want to approach it. I know what I want it to kind of look like, just don't know how I want to approach it. So that'll probably be my next week's build, since I just put a WIA recap video together this week.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. It's different seeing the CNC Piranha that you use versus the X-Carve that everybody else uses. So
Yeah, I actually had a viewer say that too. They said, "I am so glad it was a different kind of CNC."
yeah, well, I mean, when it comes down to it, there's not a lot of people that probably want to put together the X-Carve outside of makers and builders. Somebody that just wants to get into the world of computerized woodworking, they probably don't want to go through the hassle in the days or weeks of putting together the X-Carve.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see something different. Plus, I mean, I'm going to be biased. I'm really looking at getting the Prana. So it was good to see it in action. So
Yeah, it's a very cool router. It's got a lot of accessories that are coming out on that new Piranha FX. So
yeah, that thing looks awesome.
I'm excited about that. So what about you, Sterling? How about your shop?
Well, I just got back, as you said, from WIA, and I was out in the garage just looking around and found some scrap wood that I'm a hoarder. I'm just a wood hoarder. So I try to make something out of anything, and I found some 2x6s that I glued up together and turned a bowl out of. And I know most people don't turn stuff out of, traditional lumber, but I just wanted to practice some. And I figured that was a good way to get in some practice on my lathe. And it actually turned out really well, and I was kind of surprised. So it made me feel more comfortable with the lathe and turning and using the tools. So I've been doing that, and I've actually had to make another night light. My last video, I donated that to Steve Ramsey's Make-A-Wish for the raffle at WIA. And the only way I was able to take it out of the house was my wife knew it was going to the kids. So I've got to make her one now. And I've got to revisit the the X-Carve. I put mine on hold because I couldn't get the programming right. And putting it together and all that, you're exactly right. It's cumbersome. But the hardest part I'm finding is the software and learning the computer side of it and getting it to work right.
Yeah, I mean it's computers. They sometimes baffle me. As you know from previous shows, I'm not very computer literate or Twitter literate, so I do enough to get by.
Yeah, and I was even experiencing some computer issues before the show. I couldn't get my computer to boot up.
Hey, but you went to YouTube.
I know. I
YouTube
actually had to find a video on YouTube, and I actually went through 4 different videos to find the one that actually worked. And the moment it did, I commented on his video saying, "This helped me immensely. Thank you."
Yeah.
Speaking of YouTube, Drew, I was talking to Laney just a few minutes before the show here, and he was rocking your hat and shirt. He wanted me to tell you hi. So.
Yeah, I saw a picture of it too. That's cool.
Yeah. Well, Sterling, you need to get that nightlight knocked out because we have the self-proclaimed, this is the year of the wife. We're going to get all the wife's projects done. I haven't started one of them yet. So I got very little time left.
Yes, you do.
I still have a table and some dressers. I'm not sure those are going to get done by the end of the year, but we'll see.
Well, from what it sounds like, you've been pretty busy.
Yeah. I was telling you guys about the Fireplace mantle, and that's kind of been a commission that's been sitting for several months now, and I kind of put myself on a deadline, and I'm trying to do one project a week to clear this backlog of projects. It's not really playing out like that. It's playing about maybe one project every 2 weeks. And so I finally got it done. I got it installed yesterday. Well, I installed it the day before. Yesterday I went over and did the finishing touches, caulked around it and stuff. So that's done. That's off the bench. I'm glad. I don't want to mess with it again. I don't want to look at it. I'm done with it. So now I got about 4 or 5 other projects. They're already started, so I'm hoping I can crack those out in about a week. We'll just have to see. I got one more paid commission. It's not already paid for, so I need to get it out so I can get that money in. And that's a large order of pens. But I got to wait on some more CA glue to come in that I had to order that I completely forgot that I needed. and that would not have been good when it came time to turn the pin. So, yeah, I've been fairly busy despite being sick, but I was kind of ready for that mantle to be out of the shop and not hanging over my head anymore. So, plus every time I saw my neighbor, he kept asking about it. How's that mantle coming? How's that mantle coming? Fine, it's coming. I'll get it installed on Tuesday. So,
yeah, I know what it's like about those commission things.
yeah, I don't mind commissions, but doing them for your next door neighbor is probably not what I want to do anymore. Not the fact that I don't really know if he understood that, like, when I took on his commission, it fell to the back of the line. I had other things that had to be completed before his. And that's just because other people paid before him and ordered before him. Just because he's my neighbor doesn't mean his order automatically goes to the front of the line. Mm-hmm. I don't think he really realizes that. And the fact that I can see him every day and he can bug me about it every day just makes it feel like a chore versus, something I enjoy doing. So, but I definitely learned new techniques doing it. I learned how to cut crown molding on the table saw. And believe it or not, I didn't even watch a YouTube video. I just kind of thought something would work, and it did. Lo and behold, I used your miter jig there, Drew, and to cut the 45s on it, and then to cut the back angled 45, I used my miter gauge, and I was like, maybe this worked, maybe it won't, I don't know, we'll see. So it worked. I was pretty excited because I didn't know how else I was going to do it because I sold my miter saw. But it's that one project's out, Drew, but the sofa table just got pushed a little further down the line.
Poor sofa table.
Yeah, well, so it was raining, and I only had 2 days left. Like, I had to get this thing done, and I needed one more piece of lumber, and raining. Wood don't work in the back of the truck while it's raining. And it rained for 2 days, and I was like, all right, I have to do something. Well, the only piece of wood I had long enough was the tabletop that I'd already made for the sofa table. So I had to take it apart and cut it down to work on the fireplace mantle. So now I got to go buy something else for the top. So, well, it's about 3 projects down the pike.
I will be anxiously awaiting the sofa table because it's just been infamous since we started this podcast.
Yeah, it has. It's gonna be a sad day when it's done, but
yeah.
Really, my wife's dining room table needs to get done because that's taken up a huge footprint in the shop.
Oh yeah, that's another one.
When I say huge footprint, I mean 5 feet by 4 feet, right dead in the middle of the shop. So, I don't really know. I mean, I've saved up the cash to go get the wood for the top, and I've had it for probably 4 months, and I just have not gone and get the wood for the top. So,
well, maybe by the time you're done with it, it'll be WIA next year, and you can put it on display.
Yeah, maybe that'd be a good idea. But
well, speaking of WIA, we actually just had that happen not too long ago. It was actually just last weekend. And Sterling and I actually went to WIA this year. Unfortunately, Jeremy was not able to make it just because of some prior commitments that he had coming. But there was a lot of things that went on during that weekend, and it passed by so fast. I was almost sad whenever it ended. I don't know about you, Sterling, but that was one of the best weekends that I've had in a long time.
Most definitely. It was real good to see everybody besides in a little box. You see them in person. I think somebody had made the comment, though, the only bad side is there's no mute button in person. So.
Yeah, true. No edit keys. Well, basically what WIA is the Woodworking in America convention that's held every year, and it's actually held in many different locations. Last year was, I believe, was it Winston-Salem, North Carolina?
Yeah.
Right down the road.
Yeah. And that was just driving distance for you, Sterling. But this year it was held in Kansas City, which was a lot more central location for a lot of the YouTubers or even just the viewers and the woodworking community out there to be able to go just drive to it. I myself drove from south of Oklahoma City to Kansas City. It took me about 5.5 hours going 90 miles an hour. So, Sterling, I know you drove from North Carolina. That was about, 14 hours you said?
15.
15 hours. Yeah, Steve Carmichael, I think, drove, and so did Mike Fulton. Just combined around 14 hours apiece. So, it was pretty cool to see. And it not only is there a marketplace where, like the Video Woodworkers booth was set up, but there's also classes that you can actually pay some money to attend and learn some things that you probably didn't know existed. And you'll be able to listen from people like the likes of David Marks,
Roy
Underhill. Yep. I think there's some hand tool guys there that kind of like Tom Fidgen. I think he spoke or taught a class at least.
Yeah, and Scott Meeks.
Yeah. Give me some more. I'm having a little brain lock.
Did you say Stumpy Nubs?
Yeah, Stubby done a class.
Yeah, Stumpy. And I think he spoke with Roy on a couple things too. Roy Underhill. So it was pretty cool. And if you didn't have the money to take the classes, you could just pay a small fee and just shop the marketplace. You can go to all the different vendors that were set up there, buy some tools, even see some demonstrations on like maybe how to sharpen a hand plane. I saw Veritas, I think they did a demonstration. And then Stumpy had his booth set up out there as well. He had all his jigs that he made, his drum sanders, all his hand-done shop tools were there on display. It was actually really, really inspiring to see all that stuff that, one individual or even him and his dad, Mustache Mike, put together. So it was really cool to see, and you had like Roy Underhill signing books. He wrote his first novel, fiction novel, and it was really pretty cool to see. And then us Video Woodworkers were out there for the first time, and basically we just had a booth that had a lot of meet and greets with all of the YouTube creator community, such as Nick Ferry, Bob Claggett, David Chudo. Unfortunately, Carl Jacobson was not able to come. And Matthias Wandel wasn't able to make it either. But you had myself, Steve Carmichael, Steve Ramsey came out on Saturday, and a bunch of the YouTube community that wasn't part of the booth but still part of the community, like Sterling Davis was out there. And Laney Shaughnessy was part of the booth. I forgot to mention him. I saw like Stone and Sons Workshop. Give me some other, Sterling. Yeah, keep it going. I know I got some more.
Father Thomas was there. Tim, the woodworking maniac. Jason Roush. There were a ton of them out there. Frank Howarth. That was fun meeting Frank.
Oh yeah, and Jack Howling was out there as well.
Jack's a cool guy.
But Sterling, your son even kind of contributed a little bit to this. What did he do?
Oh, it was amazing. As we were actually fixing to go eat lunch with Frank and a couple other guys, and my son went up to the room for about 30, 40 minutes. He said, "I'll be back." And, I figured he was going to play the PlayStation, just rest, whatever. Well, he comes back and said, "I just uploaded a video to YouTube." He does cover songs. He has a YouTube channel too, but it's music. He loves music. And I said, "All right, well, we'll get back from lunch and we're going to listen to it." And this guy went up to the room and made a rap song about the content creators at WIA. And he watches a lot of the content creators, so a lot of them that he named were people that he watched. So there were some that were mentioned, some that wasn't, but it was just an awesome little rap video of the event that was going on at WIA for the Woodworker video creators. So it was very cool to hear that, and he's gotten a great response from the content creators that were named and even not named. So it was a very neat little rap tune.
Yeah, and he did that in like 45 minutes. He put that whole thing together.
Yes, it was amazing.
Well,
that is so cool.
We'll put the video down in the show notes for for the listeners that want to check that out.
Yeah, and Sterling even uploaded it to his recent video too. It's his background music on his.
Yep. And another cool video that I was able to take part in, Drew, I think you were in it too as well, was David Welder's.
Was that the PSA announcement?
Yes.
I was not able to make that for some reason. I stepped away, and he told me about it later. I was like, oh, no. So, yeah, I missed getting in on that.
But that was a kooky little fun video that David did. So,
yeah, I got to watch that here recently, and that was a lot. Hearing a lot of the every time you troll, like you use a chisel to open a paint can or something like that. I thought that was kind of funny to hear all those.
All right. Well, what did each one of you do? Did y'all just go to the marketplace, or did either one of you attend any of the classes?
I didn't attend any classes, but I did go around to all the different booths, and like Lee Valley was there, and I was actually, they'll show you how to use a plane correctly, and I was able to do they had the Olympics there, the hand tool Olympics. That was kind of fun. So just learning how to do dovetails, and a lot of that's in the marketplace. So I just went from booth to booth, looking and kind of putting hands on what I could and seeing what was out there.
Yeah, the hand tool Olympics was pretty interesting. I actually walked around after like 4 hours, I think, in the booth, shaking hands and meeting people. But I went to those Olympics, and I think me and Nick Ferry did a few tries at like drilling a straight hole and cutting a straight line with a handsaw, and we didn't get time though. I think we were just goofing off. But it was a pretty decent sized show. There was about 4 aisles of vendors. I didn't see a lot of the big names, but it's mainly geared towards hand tool woodworkers and things like that. Saw Stop was there doing demonstrations on their table saws and how the brakes work and the safety feature and all that stuff. So,
yeah. Well, and that's mainly cool because WIA, way back in its history, was founded on hand tools. It was a show for hand tools, and just as the years progressed, it started adding a little more power tools. In fact, Megan Fitzpatrick has said this year that the marketing guys had pretty much pushed that they needed to add more power tools to the show, and keep it at its roots, and you still keep like the hand tool Olympics and stuff, but you need to start appealing to some of the other woodworkers out there, because if you don't do that, you're really not going to grow your show. There's only so many hand tool woodworkers. Well, now if you add the other side of that spectrum and add power tool woodworkers to that, you're going to get a whole lot more people, and you're going to grow the show and the program for the following years.
And that's what I was surprised about as well, because last year Bosch was there, Microjig, Craig. I mean, there was a lot more of the items that I would use in my shop there last year that wasn't there this year. That kind of surprised me.
Yeah, I was kind of the same way. Not that it wasn't a good show, but I was expecting a little bit more.
And I kind of wonder how locality played into that.
Yeah.
Did the location have a big factor into what companies were able to come and not come? And did location have an impact as to more viewers, more participants coming, or less participants? I would like to think, being central in the United States, it would open it up to more people. But that's something, not being to any of the WIAs, I don't really know, but I'd be interested to see some statistics on that. Just, it kind of sets a trend that if, there was a great increase of people this year, that the previous years or the following years, that they'll probably try to keep it somewhere centralized in the United States. But the downfall is if there wasn't a lot of people or a dramatic improvement over previous years, then there's no real benefit to keeping it centrally in the United States. So,
Well, I think one thing WIA actually realized is, at first, I don't think they realized how much of a boost that the video woodworkers would have for the event, but by far, that was the most busiest, most active booth in the whole show.
yeah.
So I think they see
Yeah, I
that.
agree. Stumpy had a lot of goers to his booth as well, just because he's well recognized in the YouTube community too. But it seemed like there were just a lot of activity in the aisle that we were in, and I think that the WIA people were and the surrounding vendors were just really surprised. I think they didn't have a big hope for a turnout with our booth, but the people that we were meeting in that booth were just telling us that they came strictly to meet us.
Yeah.
I had a guy from Maryland say, I flew all the way from Maryland just so I could meet you guys.
Yeah, Drew. We've been doing this almost a year now, and we've never met face to face, and it kind of pains me that you're going to be 4 hours away from me this weekend, and I can't make it up there.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going to a Rockler opening this weekend. For those of y'all that don't know, and that's what Jeremy's referring to, is Rockler's opening a brand new store in Arlington, Texas this Saturday, and they're going to have giveaways, and April Wilkerson and myself are going to be there as, I guess, I don't know, my wife likes to call it celebrity appearance, which she kind of gets a good giggle out of that.
It sounds like fun.
So it's I'm glad WIA turned out for you guys, and I want to put it out there, and I don't know a whole lot of backstory about how the booth really came together. I mean, I know the few people that really started the movement to put a booth together, but there's so many YouTube woodworkers out there that you'd pretty much have to take up an entire aisle of booths in order to include everybody in it. And I know there was some hurt feelings just reading some blogs and stuff that some people weren't included in the option of being part of that booth. But I think it's simply the fact that you can only have so many people for the size of booth that you had.
Yeah, and that was exactly it.
If you invite everybody, then you're going to take up a whole lot more footprint, and the price just dramatically goes up because you got to pay for more booth spaces. So
yeah, and you're also kind of in competition. Well, I wouldn't say competition, but some of the other vendors might look down, saying that there are way too many people on this side versus the amount of people that we have in our booth. I think you have to be really frugal with basically how many people get to participate in a booth.
Yeah.
So it doesn't cause hurt feelings as well as flow problems throughout the show.
Yeah, and from what I saw, it doesn't look like the booth was, really kind of. It didn't look like it was pushing away any of the other YouTube woodworkers that weren't, quote unquote, like part of the booth. It looked like it's pretty much everybody was still welcomed, and they were all in that booth. Period of whether they helped pay for it or not. And I think that's exactly what it came down to is there was only so many people that, were invited that pitched in, but none of the other YouTube woodworkers were pushed away from the booth, So just because you weren't invited to help pay doesn't mean you weren't welcomed in that area.
Exactly.
And I think that's really what you got to look at is, I pretty much got to hang out in the YouTube woodworkers booth as a YouTube woodworker for free. I think that's pretty cool. So, next year, I would lean to say that this is probably going to happen again. Location pending, but I would like to see next year, outside of the website that was up that had the people participating in the booth, I would like to see a section of other YouTube woodworkers that are definitely going to WIA, so their videos and their followers could see that and potentially like, oh well, Sterling Davis is going. I want to meet Sterling Davis, so I'm going to go. So they know he's somewhere on the grounds in WIA. He may not necessarily be at that booth. So,
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, I would say in the next 5 years, YouTube woodworkers are going to take over WIA.
I like that prediction.
I see it. So we'll see. Well, I mean, we'll see how it grows, but.
And I think there's other venues out there too that would be suited for the content creators, the woodworking shows. I'm actually going to be participating in Cling Spore's extravaganza in this month, the 16th and 17th in Hickory, and it's geared more toward the scroll saw, lathe, power tool type thing, but it's woodworking related. So there's definitely venues out there for the content creator booth.
Yeah, and I think that's what it really comes down to. Is it's not that one or two people that chose to start the YouTube woodworking booth. I think it is incumbent upon all of us to be like, all right, well, hey, there's this show going on here. Well, let's try to get a booth set up, and I think it's just one or two people that started that movement, but we all carried on. And like you said, Sterling, you go to this show and well, you know what? Let's see if there's other YouTube woodworkers that want to come, and we'll put a booth together. It doesn't, in my opinion, have to be strictly WIA every year.
No, and that's one thing too, is I mean, even if we don't have a booth at other venues, I mean, it's still pretty cool to just go to these shows just to look around. I mean, you'd be surprised how many people will stop and want to talk to you too. So there are many ways to go about getting the word out about video woodworkers and the YouTube community. So
yeah, I hadn't been to any woodworking show, and it's mainly because I've really been looking forward to the woodworking shows that travel, and somehow every year Houston gets put on their schedule, and then for some reason gets dropped. Last year, like, they had a conflict with the convention center that they were using. Well, I got in contact with the person who finds the venues and suggested another venue. It was just a little too late for them to be able to book it. So that it kind of stunk that happened. But the one show, and we've heard about it before, I will not miss, is Weekend with Wood Talk. So if Mark, Matt, or Shannon are listening, you're probably not, because we're the little guys, but if you are, you need to get that planned. Contact me, because I'm coming. So that's...
Well, I wouldn't mind an invitation. I don't know where it'll be, but...
Well, I mean, it's going to be a Mark shop. That was the talk all along. I mean, I guess that's why you build an 1,800 square foot shop. So it'll be... From the talk they had, it will be in Phoenix, Arizona. Whatever, I'll go to Phoenix.
As long as he's got a bathroom, I'm cool.
Well, he said he has a bathroom in his shop. I mean, that dude's shop is like my house. Yeah. It's almost as big as my house. It's got a bathroom. He's got like a freaking giant monitor / TV in there. You could just live in there. Just put a little couch in there. You never have to go in the house.
I could do that.
I'm not sure Nicole would like that, but I would do it in a heartbeat. So, all right. Well, we had some kickback from our last episode. It's from Trey Baker. It said, first off, I enjoy listening to the show. As a bit of kickback to show number 16 regarding purchasing new tools, I find that I tend to buy new tools on more of an as-needed basis rather than by my wish list. I'm a newbie woodworker and find myself with almost each project needing a new tool to accomplish the design of my project. Whether a new router bit or completely new tool, the necessity for a particular tool seems to be dictating when and what tool I buy, which leads me to my question. And we'll get into his question in just a second. But, I think that's one of the best ways for newbie woodworkers to get started is, you pick the project you want to do and you buy the tools necessary to complete that project. Mm-hmm. And so now you're completing a bucket list project, and you're able to purchase new tools, which aids in you being able to complete bigger and better designs later on down the road. I think when we talked about buying new tools, we're pretty much going based off our already established shops. But yeah, that's one thing we didn't think about is, what about these people that are just getting started? But I also think we talked about that back in one of the very first episodes. If what tool we would recommend for new people to start. So
yeah, I kind of had to put myself back in those shoes. Like you said, we talk about the tools that we already have, and I remember when I started doing custom work for people, I actually, instead of asking to for cash or money, I requested that if I'm going to finish this project, I need a specific tool like a random orbit sander or a dovetailing jig, an inexpensive one, of course, but something to that nature. Said if you wouldn't mind just purchasing that so I can finish, that'd be perfect. And I had a lot of commission work jobs like that, and that's how I built up a lot of my tool repertoire. So
yeah. All right. So his question was, I have a potential customer who has an old high chair that they have restored. Problem is the chair has no tray, which is what they want me to potentially make. I'm scratching my head trying to figure the best way to make the tray, particularly how to make the outer raised edge of the tray. My initial thought is to use 8/4 stock and carve out the tray surface, thereby creating the curved outer lip. I have a router, but not sure how well that would work with a large round over bit. My next thought is to purchase an angle grinder and use the Arbortech turbo plane to sculpt out the lip and recess tray surface. What do you guys think about this, or how would you approach the build? Thanks for any feedback on this. At this point, we got this email about 3 weeks ago, so he may or may not have already completed this. But I'm going to kind of break it down. Would I start with 8/4 stock? No, absolutely not. No matter what you use, 8/4 stock for a tray, for one, is going to be too heavy to sit on the front of that tray or on the front of that high chair. With my child sitting in that high chair, my baby, I want to reduce the amount of weight pulling on the opposite direction. That could potentially be an easy tripping hazard or tip over hazard for when they start wiggling around. And my next thing is 8/4 stock. That's 2 inches. Milled, you're looking at 1.75 inches, maybe. You're probably a little more than that. So you're going to have a pretty big lip. You're looking at probably 1 inch or more lip around that thing, and you don't need a lip that big. You want something very small to keep like a cup from rolling off. There's no lip in the world that's going to keep a baby from knocking a bowl of food off. I guess there would be. 2 foot tall lip would probably prevent that. It's also going to prevent them from eating. But so, I think you're on the right track there. But I would go to 4/4 stock, and if you have the tools to mill it, you want to mill it and try to keep it as thick as possible, and then use like a cove bit and create kind of like a drip tray, like you would on a like a cutting board. And then if you still want to carve out that middle, then you can run a straight bit across that area between the drip tray and get that to where you're at, and then finish flatten it with either like a card scraper or a number 80 cabinet scraper, or even sandpaper. But I would say 4/4 stock is probably as thick as you want to go, and I'm purely going on weight at that point. I don't want my daughter to tip over a high chair. You're on the right track, and you're really going down that path. But like I said, really think about, how big that lip needs to be, and 1.5 inches is really kind of too big, in my opinion. And if you're going to carve out, probably the best way to carve out is to get a bowl carving bit. That'll eliminate the need for a straight bit and a cove bit. So you can get, I think, 1.5 inches or 1.25 inches is the biggest one I have. And it's bearing guided, so you can create yourself a template if you wanted to, or you can run it on the router table. There's many ways to do it, but I would think probably your best bet to do is a bowl bit. So, what do you guys think about that?
Well, you kind of took all my answers.
Okay, well,
I was going to do the bowl bit. I was going to do the template.
Yeah. Well, see, I really got into this because my daughter's at the age that she needs a high chair, and that's one of the things I've been working a design on. And I'm just adding to my list here of things to do. But I really think the high chair, I'm trying to keep it very simple, simplistic. And I think I can knock that out in about 2 days, plus maybe another day or so for finish. But I think I'll probably just do like spray lacquer. So that's kind of really why I took that, because I've already been thinking about a lot of these things. And I'm leaning to the fact that I'm a real big stickler, and my kids are messy. I have kind of white carpet in my house that I'm not going to put my daughter in the living room to eat in a high chair. So I'm eliminating the need for a tray. I'm leaning towards like a restaurant style high chair, and I'm going to push her up to the table. She can eat on the table. That's what we do now. So I know that wasn't your question, and that's definitely not your, I guess, choice, because it's a potential customer that's asking you to do this. So if they want a tray, then you have to figure out how to make that tray. So hopefully we answered your question, and if we didn't, go ahead and give us some feedback and let us know particularly what part we didn't answer. And if you have already completed it, give us feedback so we can see how you completed it, and then we can show some pictures, and because you potentially went a completely different way than what I suggested. So,
and I was kind of leaning in Jeremy's direction too about the thickness, the weight, and everything. Because if you look at even plastic trays on, like the high chair I have, the lip is only about a 1/2 inch deep. It's not very deep. Like you said, it's just meant to keep something from rolling off that may be on its side, kind of headed in that direction, and the lip's just meant to stop it. You're not meant to eat cereal out of it. It's just meant to hold things without it falling in the floor.
The one thing that I don't think neither one of us mentioned, and we probably should, is on that lip, you do not want a 90-degree angle. You want some kind of cove right there, some kind of curve, because food and stuff will build up in that angle, and it'll be so hard to clean. You'll have to take a toothbrush or something with some bristles to get into that corner. So when you do make it, keep that in mind, that you want some kind of lip or curve right there, so it's easier to clean.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what about you, Sterling? Any input?
No, well, what y'all are talking about, the weight proportion, is definitely, because you don't want it tipping over. You can probably even go as low as 3/4, because, you don't want that the tip. But, if you go 3/4 and do a 1/4 inch groove with the pattern with the cove bit, that's all you need.
Yeah.
Because most kids, they're not going to roll it off. They're going to pick it up in their hand and throw it.
Yeah.
Well, that's my kids. So, I got my 5-year-old. He still throws stuff at the table. So.
But if there's one thing that you really need to take care of when doing scoop outs like that and dishing out something, is to take it in several passes. Don't try and do it in one or two. You definitely need to take the stress off of your router and the router bit shaft by taking it in several passes, just going little by little until you get to the depth that you want. And on that final pass, just lower your bit down the slightest little bit to take care of any burning that you might have got on the last pass.
Yeah. Yeah, and something that big, I mean, if you're, depending on how much you're scooping out, you may have to do that in several sessions. Let your bit cool down. Because, you want you to heat that bit up, once you hit that bit
Plus,
up
you might
so
develop
much.
a lot of pitch. You might develop a lot of pitch on there.
That, and you'll burn a lot. You could potentially break the shaft off of, or the bit off the shaft. There's a lot of things to think about, but I think if you take it slow, don't use 8/4 stock. I think you'll be set.
But let us know if you got it finished. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, definitely. All right, well, if you'd like your question answered on air, guaranteed, or you just want to hang out with us after the show, you can become a patron of our Patreon campaign. Just head over to www.patreon.com/Woodshop101, and there's a load of perks for you over there. And if you don't want to enter into a continuous monetary amount, then head over to the show notes. And down in the description of the show notes, there will be a few different links for one-time donations through PayPal. Anything helps. Server costs and internet costs, the website, all that costs, and anything, even $1, 50 cents, anything helps us offset those costs, so we can worry less about the financial and business aspect of it, and enjoy the content that we're giving you guys. So, all right, well, Sterling, you want to tell everybody how we can get in contact with you if they want to contact you directly?
Sure. You want to email me directly at sterling.davis@att.net. It's my direct email. You can shoot me a message on YouTube at Sterling Davis through YouTube.
Okay. You got Facebook and
Facebook. I've got a Facebook page. It's Sterling's Woodcrafts.
Okay. Well, we'll get the links to all those, and we'll put those in the show notes so somebody can get a hold of you directly if they desire to.
That sounds great. Appreciate y'all having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I've had a blast having you on here.
Yeah. It's taken us a few weeks to actually get this recorded, but it was great to have you. And I think one of our biggest things was, deciding not to do last week's podcast 2 weeks ago. We definitely wanted to keep you on as that guest host. I think you're one of the woodworkers that we've talked about a few times to get you on, and so I'm finally glad we were able to do that.
Yeah, I thought Drew was joking with me at first. I said, "Me? Really? You want me?"
Well, I mean, we let Drew on the show.
Yeah. Any old riffraff,
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to let everybody know, too, is that Sterling, every year for the past 2 years so far, has put on a contest called the Pallet Upcycle Challenge. Basically just taking a pallet apart and making a project out of it, and then just submitting it for everyone to see, and that also makes you eligible for the random drawing for prizes. And he's got some pretty big sponsors to donate prizes in the past, including this year that he just finished up. So keep an eye out. If you want to learn more about it, you can check out his prior archived videos for the most recent one that he had, as well as the one before that. And if you subscribe to his channel, you'll be alerted every time he makes a video post. And sometime later down the line, around this time next year, he'll announce for the next contest. So you definitely don't want to miss it, because it's a fun contest to get in on.
It is, and I'm working on that now.
So that's the plan. You are definitely going to do it next year.
Most definitely.
Okay. Well, if you once you get a time frame set down, shoot us an email, or contact us some other way, and we will make sure that we announce it on the show.
We might have you on again to talk a little bit about it too.
I'm sure we will. So, all right, Drew. Well, if you want to give them the contact info, and then we'll stop bugging them for the evening.
Well, I want to go a little different route, because we've got contact information for Sterling. So if you guys want to contact any of us directly, like Jeremy or myself, you can reach myself at www.rhwoodshop.com. You can also find me on Facebook and Twitter, all the social media like Instagram, even on Pinterest as well. I have a YouTube channel as well. Just search Rockin' H Woodshop, or even my name, Drew Short. Jeremy, what about you? What kind of contacts that they can find for you, man?
Well, you can find me over at www.countrysideworkshop.com. There you can pretty much find me on anything. Pinterest, Twitter. I'm not sure how to use any of those. But you can find me on Facebook. I'm pretty good with that one. I think I got Instagram over there. Email, phone number, mailing address. So pretty much head to countrysideworkshop.com. You can find any way to get a hold of me.
Very cool. And as far as the show goes, you can find us at woodshop101podcast.com/listen. That goes through Jeremy's website, but it's mainly a platform that you can find all of our shows that you can stream on just about any kind of device, even your phone. You can also find us on iTunes, like Jeremy mentioned earlier in the podcast, as well as you can find us on Skype if you want to send us a request to, I guess, be a part of our contact list, may even have you on the show one day. You can do that. We're also on Facebook as well. You can just search Woodshop 101 Podcast, and it's pretty easy to find. Our two big mugs are on there. So we tend to do videos just about each and every week, or every other week, excuse me. We've had a few instances where we've had to postpone a few every now and then, but every other week we try and have a guest host, kind of like Sterling. So we'll do one with just me and Jeremy, and then the next one will be a special guest. And so far, we have been pretty consistent with that. So we hope to stay consistent. Other than that, that's pretty much all the contacts that I got for the show. So for me and Jeremy, I've had a great time having Sterling on here talking about WIA. It's been a blast. I hope you guys be sure and subscribe to Sterling's channel. Keep an eye out for his upcoming pallet upcycle challenge in the near future. So as far as that's concerned, Sterling, we'd like to do a special sign-off for this show. I'm sure you're pretty familiar with it.
All weekend, buddy.
So I want to just give you guys a little cue. I want you to be safe in your shops. Keep listening for Woodshop 101. We hope to hear more from you guys. You can also leave us voicemails as well. I forgot to mention this. We have a new voicemail phone number. You can call from any phone. Doesn't matter. You don't have to log into a computer or nothing. Just call, leave us a voicemail, and we'll feature it on air and answer your question. The number for that is 409-234-3959. That's 409-234-3959. Just leave us a voicemail and we'll answer them out. All right, guys. 1, 2, 3.
Boom!